What I'd like everybody to know about Ron Brooks and his dedication and service to tennis is that he's always put the health and well-being of the game and the players in the game at the forefront of all of his judgments and opinions. He has a huge heart for the sport of tennis, and I think it comes from his appreciation for what the game has done for him and others around him.
Ron is more than deserving of this special honor. He has dedicated his life to the USTA Midwest section. He has served in various capacities of leadership, and he has done everything to advance the organization. The guy is just so involved with the USTA and everything that it does, and this, I think, is certainly why he should be inducted into the Hall of Fame.
You know, I know a lot of people are very deserving of this recognition, but what I know is for the last 50 years, my dad has been playing tennis, teaching tennis, coaching tennis, volunteering for tennis, promoting tennis. Tennis has meant a lot to him. He's learned a lot of life lessons, and he knows how much he's gotten from the sport, and he continually wants to give back to that sport. He embodies what tennis is all about. The sportsmanship, the competitive nature, working hard, the perseverance, healthy active lifestyle. These are all very important things to my dad, and they've been part of his life, again, for the last 50 years. So it's really neat to see him be recognized for all of that.
Well, when I heard that I was getting inducted, it was mind-blowing. But it's humbling to the extent that you look at all the players that have been inducted, not only players, but administrative individuals, radio personalities or TV personalities, and other people who have contributed to the game in whatever way. It's very humbling to look and see that I'm standing here and going to be accepting a plaque to be enshrined.
Well, we do want to take one photo. All right. Madam President, it is my pleasure to present on behalf of the Hall of Fame Committee, Ronald Brooks for enshrinement into the Hall of Fame.
Ronald Brooks, as President of the USTA Midwest Section, and with the power vested unto me, it is my pleasure to induct you into the Midwest Tennis Hall of Fame. Congratulations. Would you like me to hold this for you?
Before you start your clock, Wally Craig and Denny Schechter, and a longtime friend from LaPorte who is known as Mr. Tennis, Bill Reed. These three individuals have meant a great deal to me. They've been my friends in tennis and as well as life itself. So I just wanted to make sure that I mentioned their name tonight. To my wife, Chris, to my daughter, Michelle, and her partner, Matthew, to my son, Darren, and his wife, Debbie, and to my grandson, Jack, who's not here this evening, but just turned 5 years old, and my good friend, Mike, and his wife, Julie, thank you very much for taking the time out of your life to come and honor me this evening. Good evening to all of you, and thank you for taking the time out to share this special event And thank you, Les, for your kind remarks. And in addition, congratulations to the other inductees here tonight. While I am standing here this evening as the 84th inductee into the USTA Midwest Hall of Fame, I want you to know that many of you have contributed in some way to my success as a volunteer to tennis, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for your support. There are no secrets to success. It is the result of preparation, hard work, and learning from failures. In the late 60s, after exhausting my basketball skills in a local league that included a team from the Indiana State Prison, and by the way, they didn't get to play away games, I left my basketball buddies and started going to the tennis courts in Washington Park in Michigan City, Indiana, to find a game. Over the next 45 plus years, I enjoyed tennis as a player and an administrator. My goals were minimal. I wanted to win a national or a Northern Indiana District tournament, and if the opportunity was available, be a contributor to the game. Luckily, I was able to do both. In the early 70s, I played local tournaments and district tournaments. And as a result of the district tournaments, got involved in the Northern Indiana District. I became a member of committees, chaired committees, and in 1972 discovered our district had no one to attend the WTA annual meeting. I volunteered and said, I'll go. My first meeting was very memorable, and it involved an individual who at the time was an officer, but would become our section's executive director. I knew her as Kay Schubert because I had spoken to her by phone many times prior. When she was pointed out to me, I introduced myself and promptly asked Kay, where are all the tennis players? Kay never let me forget those 6 words. This was the start of a great friendship that would last until her untimely passing. I quickly found myself on committees and shortly thereafter initiated the WTA newsletter, derived from the section directory and became a one-person committee. I continued my volunteer roles and found myself on the board by the end of the decade. As a player, I began having some success in singles and found a great partner in doubles, my longtime friend from Calumet City, Illinois, Dan Kennedy. I set some new goals, and in 1978, finished the year ranked number 3 in men's 35 singles, winning the Western Close Championships, and winning 7 men's 35s doubles titles with Dan, and 1 other with Dick Johnson, who was a pro in Rockford, Illinois. At this point, I want to recognize 2 individuals that would mentor my aspirations as a volunteer. The first was President Forrest Hainline, 72 and 73. The second was President Rolla Anderson, 76, 77, who still is my mentor today at the age of 97, who is still available to me to talk about tennis. Every year, I go see Rolla, spend a week at the championships in Kalamazoo, and all we talk about is fundraising. I immediately took a liking to Forrest, and I was in awe of his ability to speak so eloquently about any issue that came to the floor for discussion. He would discuss both sides of an issue, and he was so passionate that you could not tell which side he was going to support when it was time to take a vote. I took advantage of every opportunity I got to ask him questions about fitting into the organization and how best to seek knowledge that would be beneficial to me in the future. Next came Rolla, and I sought his counsel by introducing myself at the urging of another good friend of mine, David Markin. I had met David as a player and had visited his home many times in Kalamazoo to play tennis with our mutual friend, Dan Kennedy. I had a great passion to work with juniors, and David indicated Rolla would be more than willing to lend my passion, or to lead my passion, in the direction of junior development. The 80s brought about some great opportunities that allowed me to become involved in junior tennis at the national and international level. Through my association with my good friend and at the time, our president, David Markin. Let me digress here. In the years leading up to my presidency, I was still the chair of and publisher of our newsletter. In 1981, Pat Freebody assumed the leadership role in this publication. I would learn two things from Pat that I would incorporate into my tennis acumen. The first was, speak softly, but carry a big stick. Second was that her tennis acumen was way ahead of her time. Pat was an innovative thinker. They call it out of the box thinking today. Pat also had the ability to differentiate her approach in order to achieve her objectives. In a leadership position, that is such a great asset. Prior to being president, I sought out district presidents, delegates at large, existing chairs, and their members to glean insight from their perspective of our section's governance and committee structure that would give me clues to the level of their knowledge, understanding, and dedication of those I would choose to put in leadership roles during my upcoming presidency. As I sought to fill certain roles, I always remembered the valuable lessons I learned along the way. None more important than no one is really qualified until the job is theirs. This job can only be learned by doing. I made it my point to encourage everyone to follow this advice. And fortunately, I was able to convince some very talented people to join our cause. In 1984, I was relocated to Kalamazoo and relished my luck to be near my good friends Rolla, David, and Rick Furman. David always referred to me as Brooksy, and it stuck. I thought, wow, what a great opportunity for me to grow and learn from three of the best junior advisors our tennis association has. I would always talk junior tennis with these guys because my involvement with Junior Boys Davis Cup and player development within the USTA. In addition to talking tennis with Rick, we would often make time to play. Unfortunately, I was completely unaware of Rick's competitive skills on the tennis court. However, I found out real quick. I soon got the feeling that I was his drum because all he did was beat on me. To this day, I have never, ever won a set. You know, Rick, the next time we play, I'm going to invoke the mercy rule. In 1985, upon my return from the U.S. Open, a life-changing incident took place on the tennis courts where I met my future wife playing in the Upjohn League. We married a year later on Mackinac Island where her family had a summer home. In 1989, I relocated to New Milford, Connecticut, but continued to stay active in growing the game of tennis. I and a group of dedicated, enthusiastic Connecticut tennis players were organizing USTA New England, Connecticut, a state association of USTA New England, where I served as the founding president and helped revitalize tennis in Connecticut. 6 months later, I was relocated to Rochester, New York. In 1998, I relocated to Fort Myers, Florida. And in December of 2006, I trekked north to the annual meeting in Milwaukee. From that point on, I have enjoyed attending every meeting of the USTA Midwest to date, except for Cincinnati in 2016. Since 2006, it has been my pleasure to serve the leadership of USTA Midwest in whatever capacity was needed or required to improve our section and raise money for the foundation. I have served as a district advisor to multiple districts. We merged 2 districts, was an advisor to many committees, chaired the charity gala along with the Hall of Fame. I am a charter champion of the USTA Midwest Tennis and Education Foundation. I'm very, very proud of that. Through this work, I had a relationship with the Sidney and Dorothy Cole Foundation. We elected Dorothy to our Hall of Fame in 2012, and the foundation created a Junior Girls Star Achievement Award in honor of Dorothy Cole. Through my relationship with the Coles, I realized how important giving back to tennis was to them. We worked together to develop a program specifically targeting junior girls between the ages of 14 and 17. Dorothy and the Cole family funded the Star Award program, which awards $20,000 annually to a deserving young lady. This program has been in place since 2013, and we received a commitment of $100,000, and last year renewed the commitment of another $100,000 that takes us through year 2022. I look forward to it continuing long into the future with our next renewal in 2020. It is a great example of how we all pay it forward when it comes to tennis, whether it be with donations, time, or advocacy. On a personal note, in June of last year, I was able to meet with Brooke Austin, our first Star Award recipient, who now plays for the University of Florida, and by the way, is from Indianapolis. I picked her up in Gainesville, drove to the Coles home in Palm Beach, West Palm Beach, I believe. We had lunch with Sydney and Dorothy, where Brooke shared with them how much the Star Achievement Award has meant to her and how it has impacted her tennis career. The Coles were very grateful to hear Brooke's comments, which is why I believe that the Coles will continue to renew their commitment, provided they continue to get this type of feedback going forward. The Coles later learned that the University of Florida won the NCAA tennis championships last year. It was a long day for both of us, but it was worth it. Now I want to talk about the best of the best, our outstanding staff. Individually and collectively, they are a tremendous resource of knowledge and energy when it comes to doing the right thing. Kathy Delacosta, Mary Pat, Zoe, Jennifer, Karen, Chad, Dorian, Heather, Kylie, Mark are just a few of the names, and all the rest of the staff. You all are an inspiration to those of us who depend on your dependability. To all of you who are sitting here in this room, I leave you with this thought. The true volunteer does work not for any hope of rewards or honor, but because the thing they set themselves to do is part of their very being and must be accomplished for the sake of accomplishment. And they count lightly hardships, risks, and obstacles if only they do not bar them from their goals. Thank you very much.